Back in 2013, the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics agreed to a deal that would change both teams forever. In the exchange, the Celtics sent Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry to Brooklyn for Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Marshawn Brooks, Keith Bogans, Chris Joseph, and 3 unprotected first-round picks. Right then, fans, media, and even non-basketball analysts trashed the Nets for such a bold and crazy move. It has since been called the worst trade in NBA history. So let's take a look back and see why the Nets agreed to one of the worst deals ever, and what they truly missed out on over the years. For starters, let's look at who the Nets gave up. There was Brooks, who averaged 5.4 points per game, Humphries, who averaged 5.8, Wallace 7.7, Bogans 4.2, and Joseph 0.5. These players' totals equaled what Pierce was able to put up by himself while with Boston. So the move made plenty of sense from a production and roster standpoint. Then you add in Garnett and one of the top reserves in Terry. Why not make this deal? But then it came down to what really had fans going crazy. There were not 1, not 2, but 3 unprotected first-round picks. This is where Ainge got the better end of the stick. The Celtics received the Nets' 2014 first-round pick, who ended up being James Young, out of the University of Kentucky. At the time, he was viewed as a potential steal in the middle of the draft. However, Young never amounted to anything for the Celtics. They then used the Nets' 2016 pick to select Jaylen Brown, who has only been getting better since he joined the NBA, and is making his first All-Star appearance this season. Jaylen Brown has the potential to be a premier 3-and-D player in the NBA, and I truly think that All-Star is not his ceiling. They also received the Nets' 2017 pick, which turned out to be the #1 selection. The Celtics then used that in a trade with the Philadelphia 76ers, in which they selected Jason Tatum. Truly another finesse by Danny Ainge, and might be another video in the future, who knows. Tatum has become the star Boston needed since Paul Pierce was sent to the Nets, and has the potential to be even better than him, and one day a top 5 player in the NBA. No one can see into the future, and now that we can take a step back and analyze the trade again, the Nets may have made one of the worst decisions in NBA history. But the real question is, why? For the Nets, they were just a few pieces away from contending for a championship in 2013 when the deal was completed, while teaming up Pierce, Garnett, and Terry with Deron Williams, Brook Lopez, and ISO Joe Johnson. Made sense on paper, even though everyone could see this impending disaster. However, on paper, and ignoring their ages, they had possibly the greatest starting 5 in NBA history. At the time of the trade, KG was 37, Paul Pierce was 36, and Jason Terry was 35. The Truth, Big Ticket, and the Jet were so old, and their window for success was small and imminent. The Nets went to the playoffs each season that the starting unit was intact. However, age and injuries derailed any real success. The Nets' all-in season netted them a second-round exit via the hands of LeBron James and the Miami Heat. The Celtics, on the other hand, fared just about the same as the Nets, but for them, it was about ridding themselves of aging players and building towards the future. After the Nets' starting unit was dismantled with trades and releases, they struggled for a few seasons. What made matters worse was that the Celtics owned their picks, which put the Nets in a difficult spot. This heist has become a cautionary tale for all the general managers around the league. Winning right now has worked out for the Toronto Raptors by taking a risk on Kawhi Leonard. But by and large, using every asset a franchise has in order to obtain a proven yet near-retired star is generally not a great tactic. So who is really to blame for this whole debacle? Billy King, the Nets GM at the time, is the one who naturally gets the majority of the blame. But was he truly the main culprit? King took full ownership of the disastrous trade. However, he had pressure from the Nets owner Mikhail Prokhorov to make a blockbuster deal. He has even said that he wouldn't have made the trade if he was the GM of another team. And for those who may have somehow forgotten, Prokhorov came to the NBA with incredible fanfare. He talked about winning an NBA title within 5 years. Outlets wrote puff pieces while ignoring how he earned his money in a Wild West-ish Russian landscape. And then he vanished. So let's dig into that for a moment. Dimitri's a star chaser, said former Nets executive, and Prokhorov and his people were obsessed with the flashiest of things. The biggest yachts, the most expensive champagne, and the biggest stars. Meanwhile, nobody in basketball operations dealt directly with him. and he truly showed how much he cared about his team when he went 5+ months without attending a game. So who knows who is truly to blame for the worst trade in NBA history. But at the end of the day, both teams are frontrunners in the Eastern Conference this season, and may meet up in the playoffs. However, the Nets may look a little different this season than years prior. I guess after years of bad luck, something finally went Brooklyn's way. But anyways guys, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. Make sure to drop a like and comment. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later. Deuces.